It's certainly a pleasure to be here this afternoon to speak to the City Club of Chicago. I have a standing line, I always say, that the office of the city clerk is the best kept secret in Chicago, all the things we do. But I'm here to tell you, I don't want you to keep that secret anymore. So everything I'm going to talk about my office, where we've been, where we're at, and where we're going, I'd like you to spread that word out there. When I campaigned for the office 8 years ago, and there was talk back then about abolishing the city clerk's office, I said, trust me, if Jim Laski gets elected city clerk, we will use this office. And over the past 8 years, we've tried to provide a more efficient, progressive, and customer-friendly office. I was on a show, WLS, Gary Meyer and Ro Khan. I think you're familiar with those two gentlemen. And we were talking about some of the things I do with the office, and Gary Meyer says, there's this deep, deep fear about going to City Hall in Chicago. He says, you open up the doors in City Hall, and you feel like it's Alice in Wonderland. You fall down this deep, dark hole for 4 days. You come out disorientated, and your clothes are all messed up. He says you can't accomplish anything. So I said, Gary, trust me, I'm going to do things with this office that will make it, more consumer friendly. I would like to start off by talking about, a few of my initiatives. And one of the first things I want to talk about is my collaborations with other offices, both statewide and countywide. I'm proud of the fact that in the year 2000, I entered an intergovernmental agreement with Secretary of State Jesse White, where Jesse White and I share information, and we started a one-stop shopping program where Jesse White's employees come to work in my office, and they sell the state license plate stickers, and we do all the renewals for the Secretary of State's office in my office. And in turn, I send my employees to various Secretary of State facilities on a full-time basis and sell the vehicle stickers and the residential permit parking stickers. We have offices now at 99th and King Drive, Elston Avenue on the north side, and the State of Illinois building. And last year alone, my office generated out of Jesse White's office $2 million out of 99th and King, 2.5 out of Elston Avenue, and another $1 million out of the State of Illinois building, in addition to what we generate at City Hall. We also have been donated from Jesse White laptop computers, which we use to actively pursue sticker scofflaws. So if my investigators go on the street, we have a laptop, and they can punch in the registration of the plate, and we can determine if that person lives in the city of Chicago, and if they don't have a sticker, they would get a ticket. I also have an agreement with the state treasurer, Judy Bartopinka, where she has been gracious enough to provide her staff and her computer equipment to set up the unclaimed, the Cash to Dash program, the unclaimed assets. So if you come into my office, not only can you take care of your state license plates, you can go and give them your name, the state treasurer's office, and they can determine if you have any unclaimed assets that are owed to you in the state of Illinois. In addition, we are working very closely with Cook County. And one of the things I do, I say this unfortunately, is I issue and sell dog licenses. And that's an issue that has become very, very noteworthy over the last few months with all the attacks with dogs, and we're trying to increase our revenues with the dog licenses. Unfortunately, our computer software is not up to date, and we're now working with the Cook County Animal Control to work in conjunction with them, because when a dog gets a rabies shot in Cook County, they are registered with the county, but we don't have that information. So now we're working to share that information with the county. So if someone their dog gets a rabies shot, we will get that information, and then we can go after those individuals to get a dog license in the city of Chicago. We're working very closely with the vets on this, and in the past year, we've doubled our fees in revenues for the dog license program in the city of Chicago. And that's a program we will continue to work with the county on. Every year, I work with the aldermen. And the past year, we teamed up with 45 aldermen out of the 50 to sell vehicle stickers out of their aldermanic offices. And that generated another $1 $4 million in revenues out of those aldermanic offices. In addition, I have a satellite office on the far southwest side of Chicago around Midway Airport. That office is a full-time office, and we've generated last year $3 million out of that office in revenues. I am currently exploring a partnership agreement with utility companies, ComEd, People's Gas, where they would come into our office and we would allow people to come and pay their electric bills, their gas bills, and any other bills they could pay there, along with the normal practices of buying your vehicle sticker and other things. So what we're trying to do is make it more customer friendly and provide more access for the taxpayers of the city of Chicago. In whole, each year, last year, for example, I generated out of the city clerk's office $91 million for the coffers of the city of Chicago, which I think is, quite a bit of money. But we're going to continue to work on that issue. Also, I want to talk about some legislative initiatives. I think I'm the first city clerk in the history of the city to introduce legislation. And one of the initiatives that I introduced a couple of years ago, which Jay alluded to, was the child support enforcement ordinance. That I issue 100,000 business licenses each and every year throughout the city of Chicago. And this legislation allows for the city of Chicago to put a hold on anyone who does business in the city of Chicago who has a business license who is in arrears in child support. Excuse me. I had a gentleman, I should say, I had a young lady call me last year to congratulate me on the ordinance. She said that her ex-husband does business in the city of Chicago. He makes over $1 million a year, and yet he was in arrears for $40,000 in child support for his children. Well, guess what? We put a hold on his business license, and he started making payments, and then we reinstated his business license. The first year alone with this program, there was $1 million that was generated to families in back child support through this ordinance, which I'm very proud of. Another piece of legislation that I was proud of, and I think Bill Cameron knows this very well, is the indebtedness program for city employees. It wasn't the most popular thing at the time. A couple of years ago, we were talking about raising taxes and doing some other things. And I said, well, let's crack down on the people who owe us money. Let's collect the money that's owed to us before we start raising taxes. So I did a little research, and I started looking at city employees who haven't bought their vehicle stickers or paid their water bills or paid their parking tickets. So I did a little research on that, and my initial research indicated there was at least $1 million out there. Well, after that story broke, everybody was scrambling around, and when we finished, and we went after all the city employees, and we went after Park District employees, CTA employees, we generated approximately $9 million that year in uncollected revenues for the city of Chicago.